Get ready to wash my hands here. Get myself prepared for this new year. So I can wash my hands with the ones who sitting around here playing last year. They know how to get to the money. They act like they know how to get to the money. So I'm gonna wash my hands so I can watch them away from me so I can move forward. So I can show them how to really get this money this year. I'm gonna show them how to get it. But see, here's the thing, a lot of people don't have confidence in themselves. I got confidence in myself. I'm gonna believe in myself, I believe in God. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. See, the ones who sit around here and talk about one thing for sure, oh, this is what I got bills to pay. You got bills to pay, but you gotta understand how to get to the money so you can pay your bills. So guess what? If you're like me, you understand? Wash your hands. Wash your old people away from you. Because guess what? You keep them around, they're gonna stay what? Stagnated. And you're gonna stay stagnated.
In the middle of a school day, a teacher steps outside and watches a tow truck literally swallow the car she's been driving. It's not her car. It's his car. The man who promised to level her up. The whispers start before the bell rings, and her life just got very public, very fast. So how did we get here? Let's rewind. Girl alives and bros, welcome to Let's Address It. Okay, so this is where the controversy, confusion, and cultural chaos gets handled properly. Baby, I address past and present scandals, common misconceptions and internet myths, wild viral moments, and old drama that still needs resolution. The things people think they understand until we dig deeper. If it's wild, weird, or wrong, baby, we're pulling up the timeline, the document, and the receipts with some grown woman commentary. Because I address it all, you might as well just call me Miss Addie. Let's get into this mess. This video dives deep into the tangled web behind the charges of Shirley Strawberry's now ex-husband, Ernesto, also known as Nesto. And trust me, there's a lot to unpack. While Nesto's rap sheet could make its own Netflix series, today we're zoning in on one chapter, his scamming and sweetheart swindling of Melody Scretchen. But first, let's set the stage. Who exactly is Nesto? Well, on paper, he's a serial entrepreneur and the former husband of legendary radio host Shirley Strawberry. In reality, a smooth-talking, graying beard charmer with a hustler's heart and a side hustle in deception. During the time of this arrest, Shirley was still proudly wearing the title of wife. But little did she know she was sharing that title with not one, but two other women. Yes, Nesto was running a full-blown marital Ponzi scheme. Throughout their marriage, his business trips and late nights weren't exactly networking events, unless you count the kind of networking that ends with him seducing women, draining their bank accounts, collecting their cars, and bleeding them for every resource possible. And that brings us to Melody. On the surface, she was a single mom doing her best, raising a special needs child, but Nesto saw her vulnerability as opportunity. He worked his way into her life, played on her trust, and nearly left her in financial ruin. Now, before we pass Melody the halo, let's be clear. She wasn't completely in the dark. There were red flags waving in her face like a Soul Train line, but she chose to step right past them. Some things she knew, she just ignored them. But here's where the plot thickens. Upon Nesto's arrest, it came to light that there was yet another woman in the picture, and her name is Sonia Durham-Waller. The receipts of this came straight from the Phone Calls from Prison series, where you can actually listen to the jail calls of Nesto and his girlfriend Sonia. This was confirmed through these conversations that he was romantically involved with her. And let's not sugarcoat it. Sonia also knew that Nesto was married to Shirley Strawberry, but that didn't stop her from diving headfirst into an affair. Fast forward to now, and Sonia is literally the last woman standing, at least for the moment. But don't worry, we'll circle back to her messy chapter a little bit later in the story. So buckle up, because this isn't just a scam story. This is a masterclass in manipulation, greed, and the kind of mess that makes you wonder how these women didn't see it coming. It's September 19th, 2021, and it's one of those late summer Atlanta afternoons. Melody Scretchen is set up at a Starbucks patio table. She's got a few Mary Kay products laid out neatly, and she's chatting with some ladies passing by. Starbucks is closed that day, the doors are locked, and the machines are silent, but the patio is lit, and then appears Nesto. Crisp shirt, confident walk, the kind of swagger that says he always has a story to tell. Melody looks up, smiles, and without missing a beat says, "If you hang around too long, you're gonna end up buying something from me." Nesto chuckles, and sure enough, he reaches for a bottle of beard oil. While handing her the cash, he says it. "You have a beautiful smile." The line lands and they start talking. He pulls out his phone and scrolls to his Instagram and casually flashes his follower count like it's a business card. He tells her that he could help her grow her business and help her get her finances in order and help her reach her goals. So they exchange numbers. That same day, he texts her, says his team can work on her project, but it'll run her $1,000. Melody's been looking into courses around the same price anyway, so she figures if a whole team can handle it, she'd rather pass that work off. But before they part that afternoon, he decides to leave an impression. He starts talking about his security company and how he can track down anyone's information just by running their license plate. He then brags to her about all of his celebrity clients, takes her through his Instagram a little bit more in high caps like only Nesto can. So to prove that he has the expertise to do everything that he said that he did, he walks to his truck, comes back holding a portable radio, and says that it's linked to 911 iNet. Right there, he calls in a tag and starts reading a full report, complete with all of Melody's personal information. In that moment, the charm takes on an edge. He's not just some guy that she met at Starbucks. He's showing her exactly how much access and how much power that he can have. She's checking this thing out because it looks like it's the real deal. I mean, who else can put her information in like that and get a return that fast? Who else has all of these luxury vehicles, all of these items, and all of this proximity to celebrities? He cannot be just a regular average guy. There's no way.
That's my motherfucking goddamn dance. You know what that means? For the haters. The ones who don't believe in me. I don't give a damn about you.
8 days later, on September 27th, Melody makes her first move. She sends a small $10 payment through Zelle from her checking account to his SunTrust account, just to confirm it goes through, and it hits. Minutes later, she sends the real payment, $990 from her savings account. That's the full $1,000 that he asked for at Starbucks, now in his account. And the deal was social media content and management for her business. The result? Well, we'll get to that. But spoiler, nothing ever gets delivered. A few days later, on October 3rd, Ernest calls and asks to meet. The location? A parking lot in Alpharetta. He's there in one of his motor coaches parked like a mobile office. When Melody arrives, he's with a young woman named Dominique, later identified as Alasia Alexander. He introduced her as his assistant, but called her his daughter. Melody and Dominique are inside the motor coach, and they're discussing the social media work that she's supposed to do for Melody. While they talk inside, Melody's young son is sitting with Ernest in his Ford F-350 outside. Dominique promises to help build her Instagram and boost her followers, get her brand notice. That work? Baby, it never happens. Not then, not later, not ever. After the meeting, Melody leaves with her son to go around the corner and have some pizza. When she was getting ready to leave, her car wouldn't start and she reached out to Nesto. After a few attempts that he made, it started. Nesto then stated to her that she needed to get a new car. Of course, he's going to seize the opportunity. He tells her that she needs to get from up under the one that she's on, and he continues to ask her about her bank accounts and her debts and said that he could help her get from out of the debt and level up. Melody then disclosed to Nesto all of the debt that she had, which was an auto loan debt and the amount of money in her checking and savings account. Can you believe it? Melody went and handed this fool her full financial picture. 3 days later, on October 6th, they meet again. This time just off Lithia Springs exit on I-20 inside his motor coach. Ernest says that he's going to get her a Chevy Tahoe. All she has to do is go online and pick the one that she wants, send him a copy of her driver's license, and transfer $3,000 in increments via Zelle. He'll handle the rest. Melody sends the first $1,000 from her savings. He also asks if she likes massages. She says yes. She's had the same male massage therapist for a while, but she tells him that it's not appropriate for him to massage her because he's married. What was Nesto's reply? Of course, you know it's always going to be a slick one. He says, my wife knew what I was doing before she married me. And then, in the bedroom at the back of the coach, he gives her a massage anyway. And she accepts, knowing good and hell well that this was Shirley Strawberry's husband. It's November 1st, 2021, and Melody gets a call from Ernest. He tells her the Tahoe cannot leave the lot without insurance. Simple fix though. Just send him $500 and he'll take care of it. She sends the money from her checking account straight to his SunTrust via Zelle. No receipt, no paperwork, just his word. 3 days later, on November 4th, she meets him again on the motor coach to talk about her level up plans and to get another massage. This is where the tone shifts. The massages aren't just massages anymore. This is the first time their relationship becomes intimate. The very next day, November 5th, he calls her from a Chevy dealership. Says he's been looking for her Tahoe and asks, white or black? Like it's just a matter of picking the color and the keys will be in her hand. But then on November 7th, when she's supposed to finally get the truck, plans change. He tells her he's busy hanging out with his clients, Charles Barkley. The Tahoe, baby, still no sign. So instead of getting this Tahoe that he's promised her, he pitches her a new opportunity. She's a little suspicious, but she's a little slow too. He pitches a pop-up shop for her business, says it'll be good for her brand and they can use the motor coach as a venue. He even picks a location, Douglasville. A few days later, on November 10th, she calls to check on the Tahoe and the pop-up plans. Then he says that he's in Texas on business and he'll reach out when he gets back. Child, on November 12th, she's supposed to do the Douglasville pop-up, but it's cold and the generator on the motor coach won't start, according to Nesto. So there's no pop-up that day. Still, he tells her to send $200 for gas and security for the next available date that they can set. And while she's at it, he needs the next Tahoe payment, another $1,000. This fool sends both payments that day, $200 from her checking and $1,000 from her savings, both via Zelle. And get this, after she has given him this money, honey, later that same day they meet in person and this becomes the second time that they got it on, honey. Baby, 2 days later on November 17th, he calls and asks how much debt she has on her 3 credit cards. She tells him the amounts on each of them like a damn fool. He pitches her on paying $800 into Nesto's private elite security for 2% ownership, promising that she can write off expenses as business costs. She sends the money via Zelle, again, from her savings. He tells her that he's in Memphis and upset because his client, young Dolph, was shot. Yes, he really tried to triangulate a fallen rapper into this situation. Then he mentions he's there to buy a command center for the business and even sends her a picture. The 2% ownership, baby, that never happens either. So on November 23rd, he stays over at Melody's house for the first time. Yes, as a married man, married to Shirley Strawberry. While he's there, he asks if she needs anything done around the house because he has a guy who can handle it. So she sends him a list. A few days later, on November 26th, this genius sends him $500 through Zelle to pay the handyman. Now, girl, how are you sending him money to pay the handyman that he offered you? Like, are you okay, sis? And those repairs, in case you're wondering, baby, they never happened, never even got started. So let's talk about this appliance pitch. On December 1st, 2021, Melody's on the phone with Nesto. He says he's going to stop by the Chevy dealer to check on the Tahoe. But in the meantime, they start planning a trip for her Christmas break. She's a teacher, 2 weeks off. You know, a little getaway sounds perfect. Somewhere in the conversation, the topic switches to her kitchen. He tells her that she needs to renovate it and says he can get her new appliances from BrandSmart. She's into the idea and tells him that she likes the look of the darker stainless steel. He tells her to spread the charges across 3 credit cards, and she gives him the numbers, but only to be used for those appliances. That's the only thing that she authorized. But look, we do need to talk about, like, girl, how is it that this man is telling you that you need to renovate and that you need to do these things and asking you what you want, but you're paying? Are you okay, sis? Later that same day, Nesto swipes her Carnival MasterCard ending in 8161 for a $2,000 purchase. Not at BrandSmart for those appliances, but at Precinct 1 Autos, a car dealership. He also charges her Family First Credit Union Visa ending in 9747 for $1,017.12 at Laura's Trucks. Look, honey, these charges were not authorized and they had nothing to do with no kitchen appliances. And later on, when the cops searched his white Ford F-350, you know, the one registered to Shirley Strawberry, his wife, they found the Precinct 1 Autos receipt and a scrap of paper with Melody's credit card number written on it, stuffed inside his black backpack. Not to mention, also in that backpack was some liquid Viagra, a bunch of dildos, honey, and all other kind of party favors that you don't want to see. Now listen, on December 2nd, Nesto hit them cards again. $1,000 on her Carnival MasterCard at Laura's Trucks again. $800 on her Family First Visa at Laura's Trucks again. Then on December 4th, he charged $1,000 to her SunTrust Visa again at Laura's Trucks. I mean, I'm starting to believe that he has something going on down there at Laura's Trucks, because why so many charges? Anyway, none of these charges were ever approved by Melody, and none of them were ever refunded. Now, I know you didn't forget about that Tahoe. I hope not, because I definitely didn't. So on December 13th, Nesto tells Melody that he needs the last Tahoe payment for $1,000 before the dealer will release it. She, again, like the fool she is, sends it from her checking account. By this point, she's paid him a total of $3,000 for the Tahoe alone. And what does she have to show for it? Not a damn thing. Later on in that same December, Melody's world shatters. She loses 5 family members in a house fire in DeKalb County. The grief is heavy, and the funeral expenses, they start piling up. This is where a real partner would step in to support her, but not Nesto. He uses it as another angle. He tells her that she should increase her credit card limits, not just to cover the funerals, but because it will make her credit look better. Melody's patience is running thin. She's poured thousands into him and hasn't gotten a thing in return. No vehicle, no appliances, no home repairs, no social media work, no business ownership. She tells him they need to talk. She even requested $1,000 back through Zelle, and he brushed it off, saying he can't process it because Dominique controls his account. All right, and here we go again with more drama, because on January 20th of 2022, Melody's in conversation with Ernest when she mentions she's thinking about trading her Nissan Altima in at CarMax. Now, you already know he supposedly was getting her a Tahoe. She's running tires, so you know he got to shut that shit down. Without hesitation, he says, "Oh no, don't do that," he tells her. "I can get you more for it. I already have a buyer lined up." And this is where it's really hard to feel sorry for Melody, because, girl, can you be a bigger chicken head? He has taken all this money from you, done all of this mess on your credit cards, and you still have nothing to show for it. But just like that, the deal is in motion. He takes her Nissan and hands her the keys to one of his cars, a 2016 Dodge Charger, to drive in the meantime. Weeks go by. She keeps asking when she's going to get the money from the sale. Every time he's traveling or waiting for the buyer to come back into town. So by March 13th, he swaps that Charger out for a different one, this time a 2015. No sale, money, no Nissan, and now she's on her second loaner car from him. She's still being told that the buyer is out of the country, in the Dominican Republic to be exact, but as soon as they're back, she'll get her payout. May 2nd, 2022. Melody's at work. Remember, she's a teacher, when a tow truck pulls up into the school lot. Students are whispering, the phones are out, and before she can process what's happening, bam, the 2015 Charger is being hooked up and hauled away, repossessed. The embarrassment, baby, it was instant, and the shock was even worse. This wasn't even her car. She was just trying to get her own Nissan sold. The very next morning, on May 3rd, Nesto shows up at her house at 3 o'clock in the freaking morning. I want to know how Shirley was letting him get away with that. But anyway, that's another video. He says that he'll drive Melody to work so she's not stuck without transportation. It's positioned like he's helping, but by now, his help is just patching up the problems that he's creating. So the very next day, on May 4th, he shows up again, but this time he's in an ambulance. Yes, a little ambulance. He tells her that she can use this ambulance to get around. Melody and her son get in, trying to make the best out of it, but on the way, it breaks down. She and her son end up walking back home while he calls for a tow truck. It's one of those moments where reality feels too absurd to be real, but it's in black and white in the case file, so it's a real deal, honey. Now listen, just a day later, on May 5th, he starts asking if she wants to be the registered agent for his bail bonds business. The irony is this Negro been trying to get a bond for the longest and he can't, but he has a bail bonds business? Okay, Nesto. Anyway, Melody says no, but by now she's over it. The business pitches, the stalling, the chaos, it's all starting to show for what it is. Finally, I guess somebody's trying to wake up. On May 17th, she asks him again for the money for her Nissan or for him to return the car. He does neither. The next day, on May 18th, he texts her asking for the Nissan's insurance card. She asks him why he needs it, but he never answers. By the end of May, her patience is gone. On May 30th, she sends him a message. If the money for her Nissan isn't in her account that day, she's going to the police. Around this same time, Nesto decides to turn the pressure up with a little theater. Melody gets a phone call from a man who introduced himself as an attorney. Says he's calling on Ernest's behalf to handle the Nissan matter. At first, it sounds official until the man's story starts tripping over itself. His language is too casual, his explanations too thin. And the more she listens, the more she realizes this isn't some polished attorney, honey. This is just one of Ernest's friends putting on his best legal voice and hoping she'll back off. In Mammy DSM terms, this is a textbook scammer tactic, creating fake authority figures to make a woman doubt her own position and delay from taking real action. But Melody wasn't fooled this time. She lets him talk, But in her head, she already clocked it was another layer in Ernest's con. On June 10th, 2022, Melody gets a call that makes her stop in her tracks. Her Nissan, the car she traded to Ernest back in January, has been spotted, and not just anywhere. It's in Conyers, Georgia, parked outside a beauty supply store. She drives out there, heart pounding, and sure enough, there's her car. But it's not Nesto behind the wheel. It's another woman, someone Melody's never seen before. Baby Melody approaches calm but firm and tells the woman that the Nissan is hers. The woman, clearly confused, says Ernest gave her the car. Now let's pause here, because this is not a rental lot. This isn't a dealership. This is her personal car, registered in her name, handed off like a party favor to another woman. And it's moments like this where the Mammy DSM lesson practically writes herself. If a man can treat your property like a pawn in his scam, he'll treat you the same damn way. Well, the Conyers police are called and they run the place. Sure enough, the Nissan is still reported as stolen. The woman driving it doesn't get arrested because she says she has no idea, but the car is towed on the spot. For Melody, it's bittersweet. She got her car back, but it's a mess, literally and figuratively. Over the next few weeks, investigators start stacking evidence against Nesto. Zelle transfers, Cash App screenshots, text messages about the Tahoe, the house repairs, the credit card charges, and let's not forget the timing. All of this went down while Ernest was married to Shirley Strawberry, a national radio personality. Melody knew about this marriage. She didn't give a damn. But the reality of being the other woman in a scam actually hits a little different when the case file is 40 plus pages deep. By the time the arrest warrant is issued, it's clear Nesto isn't just unlucky or bad with money. He's running a pattern. Target women with resources or assets. Love bomb them with promises of business deals, cars, and financial makeovers. Then drain those assets through a mix of charm, chaos, and flat-out theft. In the scam world, they call it that sweetheart swindler. In the real world, it's just fraud. And here's where I'm going to put my Mammy DSM voice back on for a second. Because this isn't just some story about Ernesto. It's a cautionary tale about how desperation, charm, and flattery can be weaponized. About how a woman in a season of grief, Melody had just suffered a loss in her family when this all started, can be the perfect mark for a man who knows exactly which strings to pull. And how when you see a man juggling women, money, and business deals that never materialize, you don't wait for the car to get towed or the credit cards to be maxed out. You run then. Because no matter how sweet the smile or how smooth the voice, a sweetheart swindler only has one true love, baby, and that's the con. The saga of Nesto and Melody Scretchen, baby, it's a masterclass in how a sweetheart swindler will smile in your face while robbing you blind. This man didn't just run off with cash, baby. He ran off with peace, pride, and every shred of common sense she thought she had. Now just think about it. This is how it started. A random afternoon outside of Starbucks in Atlanta. She's out there minding her business, selling her little Mary Kay, hustling like an honest woman should. In slides, Nesto. Tall, smooth, beard on point, landing on thick, beautiful smile. I can grow your business, let me put you on. He flashed that Instagram like it was a resume for heaven. And by the end of the conversation, she sold him beard oil and gave him a VIP pass straight into her wallet. From there, it was cars, and more cars. A Tahoe she thought that she was buying, her own Nissan disappearing like Houdini, handed off to another woman like a clearance sale freebie. And then the ambulance. Oh, honey. The ambulance, the most embarrassing chapter of them all, a grown woman and her special needs son climbing into an ambulance that Nesto hooked her up with, only to break down on the side of the road. Baby, that ain't a blessing, that's a bad omen on wheels. And here's the gag. Melody thought she was sitting pretty on the sidelines, baby. While Shirley Strawberry, the wife, was the one getting played, she thought that she was in on the joke. Nah. She was the punchline. Nesto was running a multi-table con and she was just another seat in the rotation. He didn't even work alone. His boy Lamont popped up pretending to be an attorney, trying to smooth talk through the repossession drama. Another young lady played assistant, pushing papers and keeping the lies fresh. It was a whole scam production, and Melody was the unpaid extra. Every move she made was a breadcrumb back to the truth. She let sweet talk blind her. She let fantasy outvote facts. She convinced herself that she was different, and that's how she walked herself right into a $21,000 hole she's still trying to climb out of. Now here we are, 3 years later. Nesto's been cooling his heels in jail, staring down at a RICO that might have him eating bologna sandwiches for the rest of his life, and the only real hope left is that Melody learned her lesson. The expensive, humiliating ambulance on the side of the road kind of lesson, and that justice finally catches up with the man who left chaos in his wake. Because let me tell you something, if a man offers you the world, even before he knows your middle name, that's not love, baby. That's just bait and he think you dumb. If the business only benefits him, you're not a partner, honey, you're a lick. And if you keep excusing his mess because he's different with you, girl, please, you are already in the scam. And here's the raw truth. A con man can't rob a locked house. He only had the keys because your dumb ass handed them to him. And if you like my commentary, please click like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't like it, you can still comment, you can still subscribe. Because you're bound to return and find something that will entertain you or be of intellectual benefit. Don't forget to support the platform, especially if you like this kind of content. I will see you guys next time. This product is so important because not only is it produced with care, but it actually has proven results. There have been over 10,000 units of this sold. The company name is sharebutters.com, and this was developed with love by a woman who simply wanted to help her beautiful daughter as she recovered from the devastating effects of cancer, chemo, and radiation burn, and has helped many others with fading stretch marks, eczema, and many other skin issues. Check out the website as it has tons of other valuable products. Check it out. There will be a link and a discount code pinned in the comments section of this video.